Sure. Ça marche, ça? Sure. I wish I can do it. Faites marcher mon micro plutôt que... Ça, c'est à vous. Oui, oui, d'accord. Ah oui, donnez-moi. Oui, merci. May I ask you to sit down? Please be seated. We are going to run the last session. I'm sure that you are a little bit tired, and I'm sorry for the weather. But as I said yesterday, we had the choice between raining, pouring, or the sun. And I decided to opt for the sun. Okay, can I have your attention, please? We are going to start. Okay, this is the closing session. And what we will try to do during roughly 1 hour is to try to get the best of the conversation and draw a few conclusions. Tomorrow there will be the meeting of the head of states of the G8, and a delegation will have to share the discussion with the head of states. So it's very important to get your attention. We will try to do that as fast as possible in order to interact with you for the last 10 or 15 minutes, so you have the possibility of interacting and giving your own opinion. Okay, so what I'd like now is that we have some slides which are the reflection of the bullet points that have been selected by either the moderator at the end of the session, or by the people who were watching the session and they have handpicked the key conclusions. So we will start pretty quickly on the first one. I will not ask everyone to react on each of the slides, but I think that we will have maybe 2 or 3 reactions immediately, and then we will move to the next one. And then we will have a general discussion. So the first is about internet and the economic growth. Government should provide citizens with internet access, no regulated content, not to regulate content. Any regulation should be thoughtful and minimal. Internet job creation is done by small corporations, not big corporations. The private sector's technology solution to internet issues will be quicker than government ones. We would like to comment on this. Joe?
Maurice, when you and I, do I have to push?
No, it's okay.
Right.
People hear you. You have a big voice.
We started on this. We decided, I think, or we agreed that this was really the central theme. And you just have to know tomorrow when the G8 starts, if the majority of the conversation is not about job creation, then our leaders are spending the time on the wrong issue. And job creation, from where I come from in Silicon Valley, is about small companies starting jobs. And so if I were going to leave one message here, it would be, I think, the message I say to my kids. They both graduated. You want a good job, go out and start a company. And that is the trend that I see happening. And frankly, that is one of the only ways we're going to deal with this global youth unemployment problem. People are going to have to start enterprises that use the net.
Irashi?
Yeah, I think the second sentence, internet job creation is done by small companies, not big corporations. is a little bit misleading because internet revolution is creating a job for large companies and medium-sized companies as well. So I think that's true that internet is creating jobs for small and medium-sized corporations, but it is also making lots of jobs for larger corporations. So I think if we can rephrase this in that way, that would be great.
Good. Somebody? Paul?
Maurice, on the second bullet point, I would just say not only by small companies. Frankly, the reinvention of customer relationship, the personalization of services, we see that. I think we speak of digital transformation. I would not restrict the job creation to by small. I mean, it's true that there are a lot of new startups, but large companies can reinvent their model thanks to internet. So not only will they create jobs, but they will save jobs by reinventing themselves.
I can only agree upon this as Publicis has created, but Publicis is not a large company. We are a medium-sized company, only 50,000 people. And we have created more than 5,000 jobs last year. So I agree with you. Any other reaction? Yafang?
Yeah, I'd like response for the last one about the innovation. Yeah, yesterday I heard the President Sarkozy mention about the third revolution. I think for this, the target also for the national broadband, the target is the year 2015. Everybody should have the broadband. This is but now only 30% really have broadband. So this is a very challenge for us. So we think the innovation, how to do that, for everybody can get it, so affordable is very important. So this should be by innovation. Yeah. The second one is a green solution. Yeah. Green solution also can save the cost. Yeah. We investment here for 15 years. Yeah. So we based our experience. I think this is very important. Also, I agree with we will listen to the customer and innovation close to the customer, to the market. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Ben, Stéphane?
Just to say that I'm a little uncomfortable with the saying governments should provide citizens with internet access, because I think we are still in a market economy, that there are, well, a lot of private companies which business is to provide customers with internet and other access, and so, yes, facilitate, promote, encourage, but not
encourage,
provide.
incite, incentivize, ensure. Jean-Bernard? Jean-François?
I think internet job creation, and we discussed that yesterday, internet job creation, I would say, is done by a favorable ecosystem and mainly by small companies.
Okay.
I would not oppose big corporations. I would just say a favorable ecosystem and mainly small companies.
Jean-François? Jean-Philippe.
Yeah, just building on what was said, I would add for the big businesses or enterprise the fact that internet enables much increased productivity. When you think about all developed countries in the world, the growth is going to come through productivity. So I think we could add maybe a productivity word that would also add another dimension of value.
Good. Maybe we move to the next slide, because if we spend as much time on each of the slides, we will have a small problem of time. Personally, I have no other meeting after 9 p.m. tonight, so that's fine. The second session was about the internet and society. So what has been selected is governance needs to link business, civil society, and government. I believe that this is about collaboration, cooperation, and to avoid that there is a one-sided decision. All technology can have harmful side effects in the wrong hands. Internet helps small brands compete. My friend Eric?
Maurice, I don't know what the first sentence says.
I don't know either.
So,
that's the reason why I thought it was about collaboration or cooperation. But honestly, I don't know what that does mean. And I don't recognize what has been said during that session. we can skip it. Is there any other comment on that? Okay. Yes, Ben?
Are you going to show 14 slides to the G8?
No,
or
we
are
are
we going
not.
to bring it back to 1 or 2 points? That we
Yes,
want to
but
make?
what we are doing is to select the key points,
All right. So
and then we will...
so then it doesn't matter where we go wordsmithing.
No,
line
no,
by
exactly.
line.
We should not. We should not. The key issue, in order that everyone is well aware of how things will work tomorrow, the key issue is to bring ideas and the general idea. It's not the wording, it's not the precise wording, it is the general idea, to make sure that we are not avoiding one key issue and to make sure that we give the right messages to the government. Okay, so we move to the next one. Okay, is there any comment on what Rupert Murdoch has said, and which is clearly about education and how we should help the people in the world to get a far better education through internet and through all the digital possibilities? Yes, Joe?
For the 8 presidents that are there tomorrow, a central message should be that our combined education system is not producing the computer scientists and engineers that we need within that economy to do the job that has to be done. So if this is about the G8 and the common economic good, our system, for the first time in the United States, we've had a decrease in output of engineers over the last 2 years, and it's been on a 40-year increase. Big issue.
Okay, that's clear, but we all agree that education is key for the future, and this is something that has to be tackled by governments.
Just one point.
Jean-Bernard?
We had, of course, a very interesting speech about education. When you think about these heads of state, obviously government spending and public deficit optimization of public spending is key to them. It was briefly mentioned that you can improve health systems a lot with internet and technology. And personally, I would rate education and optimization of the health spending at the same level when it goes to the government. You guys, you have a great issue with public spending and controlling health spending, and I would add this on top of education.
Good point. Paul?
Maurice, 2 points. The first point, it's not only software. Right? It's a kind of personal interaction that are software-enabled. And maybe following Jean-Bernard, we could say that could be the source of some productivity. I would not talk of job cuts, but productivity.
Okay.
A couple additional words, yes. I mean, actually providing access to the broad masses of kids in the world and making sure they get access to digital literacy is an important part of getting some good jobs and actually finding a job, which in those days, I think is pretty important for the youth in many countries.
Okay. Hiroshi?
I don't know what's happening in other countries, but in Japan, the government are super protective for kids to use internet and mobile phones to access to all these, adult-oriented content as well as the very dangerous content. So, I think it's a natural tendency for the governments to try to protect as much as they can, but it's sometimes too much. And so I think we should think about how we can teach the ethics of how you can use internet in a proper way. So if we can include educating using IT properly and ethically to children, that would be rather than overprotecting through various firewalls and access limitation. I think that would be very, very important.
Good point. Okay. No other comments. So we move to the next one, which is the plenary third, FutureNet. So what has been picked is as machines talk directly to machines, infrastructure will become more vulnerable to break down and difficult for governments to manage. Governments will need to develop policies based on a vision of how the internet will develop in the future, not what it looks like today. Stéphane, Ben, you want to react to this? No? Okay. Somebody wants to react? Okay.
I think the
Joe?
second point is potentially very dangerous, because one of the most interesting things I took away was Mark Zuckerberg's last comment about, I'll call it the law of unintended consequences. You try and fix one thing, and you create, because this is such a complex system, 5 others. And frankly, I don't have confidence in the government's depth of understanding about, while they're trying to do good on one point, they don't create havoc in 4 or 5 other areas, and we need to be very mindful of that. Mark made an excellent point.
Okay, so you are speaking about the collateral damage of a good intended law.
Yes.
Okay, of regulation. Xavier?
Are we sure that we want that the governments will need to develop policies based on a vision?
Scary.
They have a vision?
Yeah, scary.
I don't know if they have a vision. I suppose they have.
Political vision, not technical vision or internet vision.
I'm sure that they are aware of everything which will happen in the next 5 years, and they have a fantastic vision of the future. I trust these people to be absolutely sure of what the future world will be. That's the reason why they are preparing ourselves for the future and making the right decision. No? You seem skeptical about that? Okay. You see, Stéphane is very optimistic. He's like me. He believes in the vision of government.
I don't know, but I understood that quite a number of people were a little reluctant about the idea of regulation or policy coming from governments and regarding internet. So it is true that this sentence is a little bit, different from what I heard. But I had just had 2 very quick comments. The first one is about the first sentence. I think it stresses maybe, and this is the key message for governments, the importance of security in the networks and maybe a special mission which is legitimate for governments to take care of security in the networks. And the second one is that there is nothing, the idea of a fair internet or equitable internet. And that might be something to mention. I don't know if it implies any kind of regulation, but the notion that the internet ecosystem should try to achieve equity and a fair, like a fair trade within the internet is something that, I personally think important.
If I summarize that, there is, in fact, 3 aspects in what you are concerned about. One is the aspect regarding security. The second is the aspect regarding the possibility of internet being crowded, and so we need infrastructure which will allow the flow of information. So that's good for Ben and for Yafeng. And third, it's the fact that we have to be very cautious on how government will act on regulation which are for today, because we don't trust the vision. However, what we believe they can help defining is a fair access to everyone. Ben?
I think that we probably have a maximum of 3 messages that you can deliver anyway.
Sure. No, but I'm speaking on that aspect.
All right. Okay.
I'm not summarizing. I'm not summarizing. I'm still on that slide that in French we would have qualified as ambitum, but I cannot say it publicly. Okay, which is mishmash. Okay. Okay, we move to the next one. Intellectual property in the digital age. This has been a very lively discussion, and we have seen that there was a lot of controversy and contradictory point of views. What has been summarized here is a healthy, creative digital economy requires protection and of intellectual property. The question is how much? That's good. So, okay, that's a message which is very clear and with an open hand. We should find new tech solutions that help protect authors' rights, and that is in opposition to laws and regulations. So it's much better, if I do understand exactly, and I was in the room, people were saying it's much better to find tech solutions that help protecting IP rather than having laws which are quite tough and difficult to apply. And the third is expression is not synonymous with property. Okay, I think that Eric has something to say about that.
I actually agree with the way this is said, and obviously there's a substantive disagreement on where the rules apply and how much. If you think about it, copyright in one form or another is really a balance of interests between the user, the owner, the original author. It's not an absolute property right in the classic sense. It's a shared right. And there's a difference in law of how this, over hundreds of years, in Europe versus the United States, but both of them have a shared model, essentially.
Xavier?
We don't speak about software.
We know that you are a fan of Hadopi, and you said it loud and clear.
We don't speak about software patent, which is different in the US and in the Europe, which could be a big problem for innovation.
Good point.
I agree with that. We should probably mention that there's an issue with the way software patenting and work, and that's a known issue.
Agree. From this side, any comment? Jean-Bernard?
No, quickly, I think I basically agree what is said there. I just wonder, why do we say the question is how much only on this sentence? I would say requires protection of intellectual property. We don't say, on anything else. The question is how much. I think if we have to say something, it's, the author has to decide whether he wants to give it away for free, whether or not, and by how much is the marketplace. So I would be happier that we reduce, we delete the last 5 words.
I don't know, because as I was in the session, what I understand by the how much is where do you put the pendulum? From an extreme where you have a very strict regulation on author rights and copyright and IP, and the other extreme of the balance where people are saying everything has to be open and free. And the key question is where do you put the pendulum? And that is, I guess, when they are saying how much, it is what they are implying.
I don't believe you can compromise on intellectual property. I think it belongs to the author, to the owner.
Well, unfortunately, that's not what the law says. Yeah, the law says that it's a shared goal with respect to fair use in some countries. It's different in other countries.
Yeah, it's different.
So it's too. I would be opposed to an absolute statement. Any absolute statement at this level is not correct. The way it's phrased is it hedges on this question. I would be strongly opposed to saying that it's an absolute ownership of one group or another, and I'm certainly in favor of copyright. I'm certainly not suggesting we should get rid of it.
Yeah, we certainly have a disagreement on this, Eric, as you know. And
he is in favor of copyright.
Yes.
This is what he said. You take that part of the sentence.
Okay, requires protection of intellectual property and copyright. That is fine.
Okay. Are we we take the 2 points. I think this will be probably a discussion where we will have to be very open in how we are presenting the solutions, or at least the point. We move to the next slide. This was the discussion between Andrew Mason and Gilles Babinet. I don't know if there is any comment to make about this, because it was purely based on his business. So I suggest that we move immediately to the double Dutch duo of this morning. Yes?
Related to the second point, I think if you can elaborate that internet is not just helping something like e-commerce, but really contributing to offline transactions, real shopping, real merchants, and offline transactions, and the real economy, that would be, I think,
Sure.
really positive.
Yes, but I think that when we will come to summarizing the point, clearly we will have to be very selective. And you will have the opportunity, because you are in the delegation tomorrow, so you can make the point. Okay. Good. Okay, so there has been, as I said, this double Dutch duo, as you said, Ben, to quote you. And there are some key points which have been selected. One is some issues require rules. Only if the digital sector does not act should political leaders step in, which I consider that is an interesting approach. Rules should not be global. There is no sense in national legislation. I don't understand. Should be global, yes. That is something which I understand clearly. Message to the G8 head of states: take this issue seriously, make decision, implement review. We are in a hurry. Okay. Ben, you have been leading that session. Do you consider this is a fair summary?
I'm not so sure, but I would like to wait till the end when we through.
Okay.
I'd like to propose a number of topics.
Good. Eric?
Well, again, there's obviously a benefit to corporations to having global rules. And without taking a position, I'm worried that given that most of these issues are laws that have existed for many years and have differences that are cultural, economic, and so forth, that it's very simplistic to say, make decisions, implement, review, we're in a hurry. I think it's unrealistic to expect that, although we could certainly ask for it. I'm also concerned that when you do these sort of global rules, you end up with sort of a least common denominator, and sometimes that may not produce the best outcome. And again, I'm not taking a position on any particular issue, but as a philosophy, the fact that everybody has the same thing is not necessarily the right outcome. We have to actually have a more substantive conversation about, and this will bring in all the questions about empowerment of individuals, free expression, freedom of speech, all the things that have been discussed in democracies for many years.
Good.
Couple additional comments, Maurice. I think when you think about the success of the internet, trust is at the core of it. And I think the discussion we just had before was all about trust. I know people trust others. So I would actually better qualify what are the key policies that need some real cooperation across government businesses: security and privacy. I think those two things, those two policies, they are intertwined, they are getting together. We are, as companies, discussing that every day with enterprise customers, consumers, with the EU Commission, state by state, in the US, in Japan, in Asia. And I think those are two themes at the top of the list that we experience every day with our customers. So I would qualify those two elements.
Okay, good. We move to the next. Fostering innovation. Innovation comes from outsiders, but government tend to protect incumbents. This has been the speech of Lawrence Lessig. Setting up a tech company is harder in Europe because of fragmented regulatory systems and fragmented countries, etc., etc. So, is there any reaction to this, Stéphane?
I fully agree with the second sentence, not totally with the first one. And to be honest, first, I am wondering what is an incumbent. Incumbent in what? In the telecom industry, in the software industry. So who is incumbent? And then, indeed, I don't see the interest to say this because first I think it's totally wrong, and then it's totally unusual.
In fact, this is mainly the key element of the speech of Florence Lessig this morning was considering that governments are protecting the incumbents and that in reality everything new is coming from outsiders who are not encumbered by their structure, their organization, their investment, etc. But I understand the point, and I think it's quite clear. Somebody else want to react to this? Okay, good point. We move to next. Digital transformation. This was a session about how do you transform your business from a traditional or analog business with all the enabling tools of digital. So all businesses, not just IT-related businesses, are being radically transformed by internet. Governments must help manage social dislocation that will make the workplace more flexible, but also with more precarious. And I understand that this probably is coming from France. Social networking requires more responsive leadership and more transparency. Who would like to react to this?
Maurice, I'm not sure I love to quote McKinsey, but they told us that for one job lost, there are 2.8 jobs created. So we should at least remind this. And maybe the word of dislocation is tough for
I agree on dislocation.
States. I would just say government must support social adaptation or something, but not
yes, it's social adaptation. In fact, what you can destroy in one place, you create in another place. That's the reason why you have to have flexibility in order to make it happen. Otherwise, you don't create the other jobs. Fine?
Yeah, I want to respond. The third one, the social network, require more response leadership. I just want to take example in China. I think how to influence to the government and how to help the internet work in the social. I think the example is in the poor province in China, and the China Mobile they just try to influence to the local government and talk about how about e-health, e-education. The government make decision last year, in the year 2015. They should have everybody in this province should have e-health document. And this e-health document could enhance that. So the farmer, I think this is a very benefit for the farmer. They can go to the different hospital. They don't need, now in China, if you go to the A hospital, then you go to the B, you need to check again. And the C, you need to check again. You pay a lot. But after China Mobile to share this idea to the government, the government is very responsive and make decision how to support it. This could be wide use in China. Yeah, I think the education and take the leadership is very important.
Okay. Yeah. Hiroshi, you want to add something?
Yes. Related to that, I just went through these documents, and there is no description about the cloud technology. And the cloud technology is going to happen. You can store information, including private information, your health information onto the cloud. So, but in Japan, at least, government is not taking cloud seriously. And there is certain rules that you cannot store your private information onto the cloud for some industries. So I think that's changing, and sort of educating our G8 leaders about that is going to be very, very important, I think.
Good. So we move.
I would just like to add, I think we have kind of consensus And we have identified 6 areas for government to be dealt with. Incentivize broadband access, protection of intellectual property, education, health, security, and privacy. This is already 6 areas. And I do not believe there is a need for government leadership in social networking.
I don't believe either. And I'm not sure that this will bring anything. But this has been the discussion, and now we select. Okay? We move to the next one. Building blocks, the art of the startup. Government should get out of the way of startups. Just ensure high-speed internet access to citizens. To help startups expand and operate across borders, government should standardize their practices. I don't know what that does mean. The GH could promote a government-coordinated information portal for businesses covering tax, treaties, issue requirement. I don't read it. And resident, voilà. Visa requirements, resident permits, employment rule, and local practices. That's a lot. I would stick to the first sentence personally, but obviously this is open for discussion. Any comment, any suggestion, any reaction? Okay.
The first sentence says it all.
Okay, first sentence says it all. Good. We move to the next one. King content, entertainment in the digital age, concern about author and artist rights. This has been already covered. Who enforces regulatory rules and how? The GH should discuss harmonization of rules between countries. Any reaction? I think that we already covered this in former... No? Yes? Okay. So we move to the next one. Electronic liberty, new tools for freedom. There should be a global commitment to internet freedom backed up by a formal collective response. Differing company policies, Facebook, Google, had huge impact on freedom of expression and safety of Arab Spring protesters. I don't know what that does mean, but maybe, Eric, you can comment on the second aspect.
I also don't know what it means, but I suspect that it's true. I'm not sure that those differences...
You don't know what it does mean, but you suspect it is true.
I suspect it's true, because the companies that are named do, in fact, have differences in their policies, and I'm not sure that's bad.
Okay. I think for freedom, we can only agree upon. And there is nothing that should get in the way of freedom of speech. Okay. Next one. Be here now. Mobility changes everything. Smartphones will blur all lines between communication, social networking, and commerce. I don't know why it will. It's already blurring all lines. Regulation should be soft, not hard. The threat of consumer backlash will curb abuse. Mobile smartphones are dominated by 2 or 3 gatekeepers. This is potentially dangerous and may require strong antitrust oversight. Wow. We have a few individuals who are interested in mobile communication. Maybe, Stéphane, you have a reaction? Let's start with the carriers. So Stéphane, Jean-Bernard, and Xavier, and then we will speak about the people who are enabling this, and we'll have Jean-Philippe and Eric.
To be honest, I am not shocked by anything in this slide. So no special comment to make. I quite agree.
Okay. Jean-Bernard?
I'm not sure this is something for the heads of state. These are some statements that could be maybe precise and so on, but
Xavier?
I don't know what to make of it.
Sam?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Eric, any comments?
No, I think it's fine. I would, of course, express it the inverse, which is that In order to realize the vision of mobile computing, you need highly competitive markets at every level of the infrastructure. And the definition of competition is that you have multiple choices and the ability for new entrants to enter the market. Okay.
Well said. It looks like you are working at Google. Next one. Yes?
I think there is a certain level of concern that for the application marketplace for smartphones, that, for example, a company like Apple is really controlling it, and you cannot get away from that. And so we, as a content provider, we are a little bit concerned that, everything for the smartphone does need to go through the one single smartphone application marketplace.
You do have a choice of mobile phone providers.
Yeah, I know. We only have two.
You have
three.
Many.
You have three.
Many choices. Plus,
You have
buy
many
all
choices
those
of
different
phones
hardware for
and
using
systems.
Android.
Yeah.
You have Microsoft, you have Google, and you have...
How quickly we forget about Microsoft.
Okay, and you have BlackBerry. Okay, so open government, open data, publishing government, data online is a great start, but a lot of it is surprising low quality. Active Citizen can correct this by crowdsourcing. Public-private partnership can help ensure fully fledged open data systems. The default mode should be that of all government data goes online and is machine readable. Someone want to comment on this? Someone would like to take this?
I can make some comments.
Yes.
I mean, Eric wants to make some comment too. I mean, I was in the workshop actually as a panelist. I think the third bullet point is an important one. The fact that all government data, as defined, should go online and be available, and the fact that you've got platforms in the cloud today that expose the richness of the data to businesses, to citizens, to governments, and where you can actually have a much more participative society. You've got a great example of that in the US, in the UK. The French government is just launching it a couple of months ago on health, environment, education, where your money, there's a website in the UK, where does the money go? Which is where your tax is going to be invested into for the state. So I support that. I think there was an additional point on enabling also developers and businesses to actually, strive on this open flow of data.
Okay. We move to the next one. Extreme innovation. Government should keep their hands off. Eliminate software patents. I'm sure that Microsoft will be happy with this. Google also. Harmonize national regulation. You want to eliminate software patents?
No, you never said that, Maurice.
Okay.
Respect all forms of intellectual property, from copyrights up to patents. There are different regimes, but no, don't agree with that.
Okay, this is what.
This is just way too simple. Software patents are here to stay. There's been an issue about, at least in the United States, about the quality of the patents. And in the United States, it's amazing, there's a particular court which does roughly half of the software patents, one little state, part of East Texas, which is not good from a principle and a reproducibility of law. So those are some details about it. But I think eliminate software patents is unrealistic. And certainly Google is in favor of properly patented software, digital copyrights, all that kind of stuff. The mechanisms here are screwed up.
Okay. And I'm sure that everyone is agreeing with government should keep their hands off.
Again, the problem with these statements is that these are so bombastic, if you will, that emotionally I agree, but in fact the internet reflects society as a whole.
No, I agree.
And so we don't want the internet to be a place where people can commit large numbers of criminal acts, for example. So if that's the conclusion of that, I don't agree with it. And I certainly don't want terrorists using the internet in a bad way. So it's very hard to agree to such a broad statement. Clearly the philosophy is one of light regulation or late regulation to to allow the internet to grow, which is in fact the way it has been successful.
It is
so far.
called extreme innovation.
But that, no, this is just extremely wrong.
Okay, we move to the next one. Shared value, how to divide the digital bounty. If we didn't share the medium, we couldn't create any value, economic or social, for anyone. The market alone will not organize itself in the best way to reach out to less dense areas. This is something I understand. This means that for some people where there is no profitability to have broadband, there must be a decision which help putting broadband, even if it's not something which will be profitable or we will get the return on investment. Anyone would like to comment on this, because this is something which is quite interesting? Okay, we move to the next one. The data dilemma. Consumers should be able to control who can access the data. That's what privacy is. Privacy legislation may restrict free speech. It needs care. Reactions? There is two aspects. One is about the data. Consumers should be able to control who can access their data. That's what privacy is all about. And privacy legislation may restrict free speech. It needs care. I guess that no one can call for killing or something like this. This is what this behind this sentence, I guess. Any reaction to this?
I think it comes back to the privacy policy discussion we had early on, which is an important topic to be tackled, not an easy one, by the way, where you move the cursor, but for sure it's at the core of the internet society. And
okay. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's the last one. Yes. So now what I would like to do, we have 14 minutes left. I would like that during 9 minutes, we have a interactive session with the audience. So everyone can make an observation, put a question pretty quickly, short, and then we will have a final roundup with the panel. So we start first row. Can you stand up?
Yes.
You say your name, and you are very short.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Laurent Calixte, and I'm a journalist at Challenge Magazine. Thank you for all what you said about governments, but I remember that Internet has been invented by the CERN, which is kind of public institution, and use the ARPANET, which was a military network, which is not really known for being a private corporation quoted at the NASDAQ, but anyway. My question is very simple. It looked like a World Cup of the Internet today, and is it just a one-shot, or do you want to do this event of the G8 every time there is a G8 in the world in the future?
Okay, this is one of the questions I wanted to put to the panel, because this has been a challenge which has been thrown on the table by President Sarkozy yesterday morning, and I said I'm up for the challenge. So personally, I'm ready to do it, but I think we need to have a conversation and to see if we can have same kind of meeting. Next.
Hello, Romain. First of all, thank you very much for letting us have the opportunity to discuss with so many great people for 2 days and present the messages from the internet community to our country leaders. If there is another G8, and I sure hope that we'll be invited, will there be an opportunity to have a more Web 2.0 interaction with the whole community and on the outcome of the debates, so that everybody has the ability to suggest, modify, amend, or correct the points that will be brought to the leaders of the countries at the G8.
Good point. The lady? Then we will move to this.
Merci, Monsieur Lévy.
Thank you, Mr. Lévy. Just for clarification for the plenary, the presence of civil society in the first point, governance it's multi-party, And this is why civil society was mentioned. Now, I would like this point to remain, especially if you continue subsequently with EG8 in other countries, in particular the United States, because otherwise, my regret is in what you've said here is the impression that the debate is not on values, it's not on the principles, and that Europe is simply remaining silent in relation to other visions of the world, whereas the human rights are defended by Europe in the around the world, and we mustn't forget this. Thank you. That's a very good point.
The maximum people to speak. Allez-y, please.
I would like to know your point of view. So we're talking about accelerating growth. How to deal with the impact on environment? So the consumption, the impact of energy, and so on. So the accelerating, increasing the data centers.
Who would like to take this question? How to deal with unbalance? Paul?
Actually, yesterday night I thought strange that the green IT is not addressed as a question, because IT is a part of the global warming. So I think it's a point of where I think we are all conscious about that. We all make efforts. And I think this is a point that would certainly deserve a yearly review. What's the focus on environment and the role of IT, and what are the progresses that are made?
Good. Thank you.
Hi, Tim Draper. I'm in the venture business. I loved all the cooperation here. This was really wonderful. There was a piece, I think, that may be missing, and that is competition and how valuable competition is, and that these governments are going to have to compete for all of you, all of the great minds in the capital of the world. And that competition is very valuable. And if all the governments sort of get together and change the rules for everybody, then there's no competition.
Who would like to take this question, or do we consider it just an observation? Okay, we agree. The man in the black shirt, or the lady, I don't see from here. I'm too old. I should wear my glasses. En plus, je la connais.
And I know her.
Placecast.
Allez-y.
This has been really an extraordinary event. There's only one first time, and congratulations for pulling this off so shortly. I have one suggestion. I have discussed with a lot of people here, and I think you have all the resources you need to answer some of these questions, but it's very hard to do with 600, 700 people. And imagining the future issues of the EG8 being focused on a theme at a time, with just fewer people who are actually experts, who already have solutions to suggest to some of the problems that have been discussed, could bring a lot more help to the government policy side. So that's just a suggestion.
Okay, I think this is much more an observation. The white shirt. Yes, there is many white shirts.
Yes, sorry about that. I'm Alexandre Zapolsky. I'm the CEO of Linagora. I would like to make you a suggestion. Every of our companies, yours, and all of our business exists just because today Internet is neutral and open. And you know, Internet came because there were some open source software. And so my advice or my suggestion would be that we should not forget that, and we should tell to the government to preserve the neutrality of Internet the way the Internet is open. Thank you.
Point well taken. Allez-y.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please. The lady over there.
Vincent Vito. Thanks a lot for these 2 days. This has been very great. Just one comment. I think we mentioned the government. We have the private sector, the civil sector too. Just to mention one which maybe has to be taken into account, this is the justice. I mean that in all systems we have the government, we have the private, and the justice. And one question is how the justice can also work at the speed of the internet. So this is one of the points that I would like to raise for us all.
Okay, I think it's an observation rather than a question. And mademoiselle, sur votre juste devant.
Yes, the gentleman in front.
Robert, vous vous levez, stand up, please.
Robert Lemay from France. Suggestion for next year, if we have an EGA, so that we, the community of internet, are coming with good practice, so that the policies are not going into our field. And I suggested that we build 10 good practice about relation between service and the customer, privacy policy, for example. So
Thank you. Good suggestion. We will now try to summarize because we have to, and we have only 6 minutes to go to the end. There is, we will go through each one. There is 2 questions. One is, what is the most important message that you believe should be carried? The second is, are you up for another EG8 meeting? And do you consider it's a good idea? And you have the possibility of adding whatever you want. The only thing we ask is to be short. Yafang, do you want to start?
Try to understand your question. Okay. Any suggest for the G8?
Yes. Any message, one message.
Message for the G8.
One single message you pick and you want to carry. And we will add all the messages and see what the opinion. If you had only to pick one, what it would be, your opinion.
Okay. As the how to say, broad committee member, we had meeting in New York, and the goal is in the year 2015, everybody should enjoy the broadband. So my suggestion to the G8 is because this committee already have a document and a statement there, a report to the UN already. So I hope this will be the input for the G8. Yeah, because so many organizations talk about internet, broadband. Yeah, so I hope this result can ask the input to the G8. Yeah, they have a very good idea in that document. Yeah.
Okay. Hiroshi?
Yes. So I think the largest message I want to convey to G8 is internet is good and it's gonna create a good world and good community. And so the government should consider how to utilize internet instead of limiting the possibilities. And my suggestion to this EG8 is we have been talking about what we should tell to the government. I think we have these great companies around the table, and we need to become the role model for other industries and other businesses. So, for example, we talk about what we can do for the environment, energy saving. In Japan, now we are facing electricity shortage issues. My company already saved 30% of electricity compared to last year. We did it, and it was not so difficult, as a matter of fact. We should have done it right before, but way before. But I think we should have some sort of a collective discussion about what we can do instead of just asking what government should do.
Okay. Xavier?
Very quick. Please try to don't regulate, because you can't regulate internet. And yes, we want more EG8 with more internet company, always more and youngest internet company.
So,
Eric.
So I actually thought that Bernard's list of the 6 was a particularly good categorization. And I would add, I think similar to yourself, there's a tendency to want to regulate or structure rather than ask, can the technology industry solve this problem in a clever way? So, for example, new monetization ways for people to make money online, new ways of compensating authors, we have that. There's a whole bunch of things like that. New ways of detecting fraud, new ways of protecting privacy, new ways of improving security. And so when those solutions are not available and unlikely to be available, then we should talk about regulation. Let's do it in that order.
Are you up for another EG8?
Of course.
Of course. Joe?
I answer your second question first. Given the government's role in the economy and the Internet's role in the economy, you've got to make this a permanent thing. We've got to find the right way to do it. Now, I've thought about what we might have not spent enough time on that's critical. And a quick story. If you go back a few months and you look at what happened in Iran with the technology, with their centrifuges, the technology now exists for massive damage to happen to a random part of the world's infrastructure. And we do not have, as a set of governments, a way to rapidly respond when that does and will happen. And that's one place where government can probably cooperate in working with technology industries so that when we do get these attacks and somebody gets badly hurt, we can respond quickly. Could talk a lot about that, but not time today.
Good. Paul?
Message, I would say, the internet fuels growth and fuels job creation. Don't break that. It's a momentum that needs to be encouraged, developed, and fueled, not restricted. And about EG8, I would just say, I can imagine the G8 that could wish to meet with energy professionals, so we need more of these EG8. Is that every year, every 2 years? I don't know. I could compromise on every 2 years.
Thank you. Stéphane?
Regarding the messages, I would say first, promote investment. And maybe on the regulation issue, I would say that Internet doesn't deserve a special regulation.
Good point.
But the rules of the society should also apply to Internet, such as intellectual property, fair competition, etc. I don't see why Internet should be isolated from the rest of the society in terms of rules.
I'm sure that many people would agree on that.
And regarding the EG8, I found it fruitful and interesting. And I probably share some of comments that have been made regarding the presence of other people, civil society, web community members, and maybe for next time, it would be interesting to have one of or several of those people in the delegation, yes, on stage or in the delegation to meet the head of states, and not only people from big or small companies like we are.
Good. Ben?
Let me first start to say that I fully support what Stefan just said. We have to remember it was us talking about us. And that is always a very, very, very dangerous thing. I like to remember the speech that Sarkozy made here. And Sarkozy said two things that are very important to put in perspective. First of all, that he took a risk to put this issue on the agenda. And if I see the laundry list of issues that are very important for some of us, that is certainly not going to help him to get an audience that is willing to have it on the second time on the agenda. And second thing, the so what of putting it on the agenda has to be, in my view, jobs. So please maintain the entrepreneurial spirit of the internet. The second thing is we have to make clear that there is a difference between the national regulation and legislation and the global reality of the internet. And the third thing is that you can maybe have 2 or 3, like security and privacy and IPR, subjects for which you're going to offer a solution. If you have those 3 principles, you have done a hell of a job with an audience that has no appetite to talk about this issue unless we make it relevant to them.
Thank you. I think it's very strong. Jean-Philippe.
Yeah, so on the message, I would say governments with businesses and the civil society need to partner to do actually 3 things. One is to adopt some common principles or policies when needed on security, privacy, and IP. 2, I think they should lead by example when it comes to open data and open platforms. 3, it's about enabling the billions of kids and students in the world who don't have access today to actually internet and digital skills to have that privilege like the other ones so that they can get a job and create economic growth. On the G8 summit, I mean, I like the suggestions in the room. I think we don't need actually a physical meeting. Well, we may from time to time. You can have a digital communication going on with many stakeholders, not just in this room, to build on some very concrete proposals.
Good, thank you. Jean-Bernard.
Thank you. On EG8, very favorable. What I would expect, of course, we did lack time, is that, yes, we need more participation, maybe organized participation from NGOs. Second, we would like a feedback from G8. It's not only us talking to the heads of state. Please, what were you expecting? Are we bringing you the kind of message that is useful to you? What will you be expecting from EG8 number 2? Because this has not been formally part of G8, and maybe it should be at least partially part of G8. On the second issues, I think we have 5 or 6 very key issues, which are, I think, in a consensus, part of what we expect from governments. My message would be in 2 parts. Governments, do not interfere when contract law, private organizations manage the system very well. Second, there is a huge disruption in one area, and millions of creative, innovative people are expecting a very strong statement about protection of intellectual property.
Thank you. I will not try to summarize or to add anything to this. I would like just to say 3 or 4 small things. The first one is that 3 months ago, this was not even an idea. And I would like to thank very warmly all my friends around this table and some others who have been very supportive from day one, and we have accepted to come to disrupt their own agenda, to change, to travel, and to come over with something which was just an idea which was not yet seeded. So to every one of you, my deepest appreciation and my sincere thanks, because without you this would not have happened, and I sincerely thank you very, very, very much. The second thing I would like to say, and you will forgive me because this is a very personal message, is that it has been a hell of a job to get this done. And the people in the Publicis Group have worked under the leadership of John Rossant and Anthony Gazagne like mules, like crazy, I don't know. And I can tell you that 3 weeks ago, we had not a clear idea what the agenda will be, what the program will be, how we will be organizing this. Nothing was really clearly set, and we decided to go, and they have done a hell of a job, and I want to tell them how proud I am, even if they have messed up my show by not showing the picture of that I wanted to show immediately, but they have been absolutely fantastic. They have been true Publicis people. Thank you. The last thing I would like to say is that something happened during these 2 days. We have not been perfect. We had not enough women on the panels. We have not enough different point of view, while we have seen some with a very high level of controversy. We had not the time to invite, and we have invited some people who have said, no, I'm not coming because I cannot come. So we have not been perfect, Far from it. If we can make it happen on a regular basis, and if we can have a EG8, even if we are not speaking to the head of state, and I don't believe that it is necessary at the end of the day to go to the head of state. We are all strong enough to pass our messages through any channel we need or any channel we want. I think that we can improve it, we can make it much better, and maybe next year in America, because next year it is in the USA that the G8 will take place. So if Barack Obama is so inclined to use internet, and if the relationship that we have been told he has with Eric Schmidt, we have a strong advocate here. Thank you very much, and merci de votre soutien.
Thank you for your support. Thank you, everyone.